This week's episode of Quality Irrelevant is brought to you by Uncle Jimmy's organic, free-range, armoured, cybernetic war hyenas. Remember when you had to ride into battle on the back of a simple horse, swinging a mace into the skull of one of the local savages like a goddamn simpleton, when you could be easily dragged off the back of your flimsy steed and beaten to death by their crude, club-like fists, or torn to shreds by their unnaturally sharp teeth? With Uncle Jimmy's organic, free-range, armoured, cybernetic war hyenas, those days are long gone. With their fresh, nutrient-rich plate armour specially grown to make sure you don't get tangled up in your robes, you can swing one of Uncle Jimmy's handcrafted flaming murder saws at your enemies hard enough to knock the colour right out of their cheeks and get them off your goddamn land quickly and efficiently. Uncle Jimmy's organic, free-range, armoured, cybernetic war hyenas. Hyper-efficient killing machines for the whole family. But just your family and no outsiders.
How has he bred these things? I imagine a lot of farm hands will have gone missing in the cultivation of these life forms.
Well, Uncle Jimmy doesn't like to talk about these things.
What about the farm hands?
Yeah.
Because he's a massive racist, because they're all white people.
I think that's it.
And he himself is a Chinese.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that not a lot of people anticipate about Uncle Jimmy, is that he is a Chinese. But he's a Chinese who is always dressed like Colonel Sanders.
What are we doing?
All of that can just be put in for the ad read, right?
Yeah, all good. Right, we'll do the music. Blah, 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 blah. That's not our music, but fuck it. That'll be fine. Phil!
What?
Guess what I've brought with me this week?
No.
I have brought nothing.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, this week I've dropped the fucking ball and I have brought almost nothing with me.
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing. I may have a few scraps or morsels.
Please don't tell me that one of these is your winning personality, because if that's the case, then we are screwed.
I'm not very good at small talk, but I felt like it was good, to just begin and see what happens between us, what conversation erupts.
Just to give you a quick overview of my current situation, I have many different beverages in front of me.
By choice?
Yeah, by choice. I wanted lots of different things all at the same time, so I just had all of them.
Is it like, you got your coffee and your whiskey and your sodaed drink?
I have exactly those things, plus water for hydration purposes. I might go to sleep tomorrow and then wake up and it's June.
I have been of that opinion, you feel like, well, what I really want is a cup of coffee, but that's just going to massively dehydrate me and make me feel really weird and give me a headache and the world will sort of spin out. So I know I'll have a glass of water as well, but now I just have 2 drinks. I don't really want 2 drinks. I know I'll take the edge off all of this with a nice green tea. It's going to take me a while to drink this, so by the time I'm all done, maybe it's sort of evening time and I'll help myself to a bit of a drink in the evening, so I'll have a beer as well. And then you sort of forget the order in which you meant to drink them, and then you just end up with beer, tea, coffee, water puddle mess.
It's almost as bad as that time that you made tequila.
Tequila was nearly a successful idea, but the milk was a mistake.
I can imagine. My inspiration behind having so many beverages, sometimes during this podcast I drink too much coffee, and then by the sort of hour and 30 minutes mark of recording I have a biblical caffeine crash and feel like I want to die. So I thought I'd try and balance out the stimulant of coffee with the depressant of whiskey, but then I thought hydration is important, so I'll have water as well. But then I wanted something that had more flavour than water, so I had sodaed pop as well. It's just a mess. I'm pumping my body full of chemicals, possibly in the hope that I turn into some sort of Bane-like super soldier, but it's more likely that I'll end up just shivering on my bathroom floor all night.
I think you might be alright if you install a catheter.
I don't really want to do that. I have a rule, nothing goes up.
Imagine screaming that to well-meaning nurses.
I have a rule about this.
Anyway, we need to fucking crack on here. So that will do as like a beginning bit to get the shit-tards like interested in what the fuck we're on about here.
They'll be interested in how many beverages I have and the fact that I have a rule about catheters.
That makes you relatable. I've theorized about this, and I may have confessed this to you beforehand, but as we know, we have no knowledge of previous recordings of this show. But I always envisioned that you are the relatable one. You are the one that our viewers can look at and go, yes, him. He's a bit like me, but he's a bit better, he's a bit sharper, he's a bit funnier, he's on my level in some ways, just a little bit above it, and that's why I like to waste my life voyeuristically living someone else's who is just living their own life.
I am in many ways the audience surrogate of this podcast.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure how I feel about that, because that implies that I am the John Watson of this podcast and you are the eccentric, often obnoxious, but ultimately engaging and intriguing character like the Sherlock Holmes of this podcast. And I don't like the fact that it's ended up that way round, because John Watson is boring and is mostly defined by his moustache.
We will get to the idea of the intriguing and almost charming misanthrope, but I hear you. In my mind, I would like to envision myself as like a natural disaster, like I'm the hurricane that sweeps through and just leaves devastation in its wake, and everyone sort of comes out after it's passed and be like, wow, what the fuck was that?
We need to get Brad Pitt or some other celebrity to rebuild houses now.
Unfortunately, you're right. I'm not like that. So instead of it being like a John Watson hurricane team up, it's more like you're John Watson and I'm like a diseased rat that has crawled out from the sewers that is far too large for it. So it's kind of a curio, like, ooh, what's this? But it's kind of horrifying and people don't want to get too close to it. And like, well, this has affected my life. I am now fundamentally changed, but not in any way that could be recommended to another individual ever. I mean, I'll tell people about this, but God.
It's less sort of Holmes and Watson as Watson and a one-legged homeless shouting at a bin lorry.
Yeah, but the homeless thinks he's a king.
Can we put that as the official iTunes description?
Right, I know we were going to be done with the preamble, but we're still on the preamble. I don't know how the fuck that occurred. I was going to say that you are the relatable one.
If I'm relatable, then I don't know what kind of people are relating to me.
Well, I mentioned this to someone in real, my thoughts on this, and their response was, God, no. So maybe they're right.
Accurate.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm that one either. So it's probably neither of us. What we need is a straight man.
I don't understand what you have against the homosexual community. It is very offensive to me.
Well, I am sort of implying that neither of us are straight men. So we need one of these straight men on our show. So maybe we can work on that at some point. But there is normally a straight man to facilitate the eccentricities of the comedic other half or duo, you see?
Maybe we need one of those, but
yeah.
I feel like this is really wanky what we're doing right now. We're like analysing our own dynamic.
Which is basically the same as like talking about your own bowel movements.
Yeah, but I feel like our roles in many ways reverse several times during a single episode of this podcast. For example, I recall the episode where you did your fucking dream journal, as it will now be called. I very much played the straight man in that segment, but there have been times when I have descended into, I don't think using the phrase utter remedial madness would be putting too fine a point on it, and you have... Well, no, you've just joined in, so my point is invalid, I think.
I could understand it if you described it as two giraffes with their heads taped together, moving forward by sort of bowling over the other one. Imagine like a Catherine wheel of giraffes that are on fire.
A Catherine wheel of giraffes that are on fire. I mean, you chose to describe it like that because you are an innovator.
Yes, a visionary, a pioneer, as we want.
Don't get carried away. I gave you a compliment and you just took it and started saying more compliments about yourself. Who does that? A remedial sociopath. That's who does that. Welcome to the show.
Right. That's not our jingle. Recriminations and sentiments, we're still doing that, although I now no longer feel that some of the things we're getting fit into either recriminations or sentiments.
Yeah, they're more just sort of things.
We need a better name than things, though. We're going to plow ahead with recriminations and sentiments until we can come up with a better term.
Okay.
Even though I have become quite fond of that title. And hating it at the same time, like a child, so I can't really abandon it or drown it in a river.
Like being angry at it and breaking it and then crying because it's broken.
Exactly, like when your child's head breaks open.
That's not exactly what I was going for, but fine, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I'm just going to bulldoze over that.
So the first one directly relates to something that you were talking about last week. They simply say, I want to drown you in gunge and then stare unnervingly into the camera with mad eyes just like on Get Your Own Back, you pair of anuses.
Well, at least, someone's like taking up our mantle, as it were.
To be honest, I find that a compliment that they managed to listen that far into the episode to get to the point where we were talking about Get Your Own Back.
That's commitment right there. They could be the next Red Hood.
What?
Isn't that like a thing that gets passed around? The Red Hood, like you become the next Red Hood?
You've taken a comic book reference, stripped it of all validity and relevance, and just said it.
Yeah, is that not what we do here?
It's like if I just went, that is like if you were Iron Man.
It's kind of like being Iron Man.
No, it's not like being Iron Man.
Didn't Iron Man drown someone in gunge once?
That was a deleted scene in the movie, and it was one of those weird comic book back issues that nobody talked about, like that time that Thor got turned into a frog, and I believe he was called Throg.
Wait, that's a real fucking thing?
Yeah.
Holy shit, Throg. Okay, sorry. Oh yeah, so we inspired a youth to take up the mantle of the quality irrelevant boys.
Well, I'm not sure it can be a youth because they're referencing Get Your Own Back, so they must be at least as old as us.
So a copycat is what you're saying.
Yeah, like some form of copycat murderer, but copycat podcaster. And speaking of that kind of thing, we've had an accusation.
What?
They just said Phil's film pitch in this episode was blatant plagiarism, which is a bold accusation. Then he goes on to say it was immediately obvious that he was pitching an exact copy of the film Field of Dreams, you fucks. He just called us fucks at the end.
There goes my film pitch for this week, where I was going to pitch Dream of Fields.
That's a boring film. Someone's just asleep for the whole thing. And when they go, do you have any good dreams? Just a meadow. End of film.
It was our chance to reignite Kevin Costner's career after he was killed in The Steeled Man.
Is in a film at the moment where he plays, I can't remember which way round it is. It's either he is in Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Reynolds is in him. I think it's Ryan Reynolds is in him. It's not gay porn.
Kevin Costner isn't as old as I thought he was.
How old is he?
He is 61.
Still old. Did you think he was like 80?
A little bit. No, but like the people we have in the movies these days, they sort of do their first film, but that's never their big sort of thing. I mean, how old is Robert Downey Jr. these days?
51.
Yeah, he's not that junior. Kevin Costner has only got 10 years on The Man of Iron.
Yep.
It's not that much. I was going to make a thing about like how I hope that Thomas Jane doesn't become Kevin Costner, but I think that may sort of already be happening.
Well, I thought Thomas Jane was becoming Christopher Lambert and the possible temporary blindness or whatever.
Yeah, that is a real shame.
Yeah.
I feel genuinely bad when we make fun of something that may or may not be true. That's like, that makes us bad people. And we will talk about bad people later.
Ooh.
Anyway, continue.
So, I mean, there was only one more. They said, I want to telekinetic a whole watermelon into the anus of this podcast.
Now, that is a reference, so we're going to get a check for that.
Yeah, and we definitely won't have to give it to Max Landis, from whom I stole the entirety of last week's film pitch. It wasn't Field of Dreams, it was Chronicle. None of you got that, did you?
Is this like a confession? Because I don't know if you're aware, but you are being recorded right now.
Well, I feel like in one of the early episodes, you did refer to this as a sort of confessional for me.
That's true, but I also feel recently we contested the idea of confessing when you're being recorded and questioning why is that valid evidence? Like, couldn't you just be riffing?
Yeah, it's probably best not to get into that whole conversation again, because I feel like we probably said literally all of the words we had to say about that topic last time.
I did have a comparison to slam poetry I was thinking of bringing up, but you know it's probably not worth it, so let's just move on.
I don't think anything relating to slam poetry is ever worth bringing up.
I think that gets a bad rap.
Why?
I was going to say because it's bad rap, but that is too clever.
That is a joke, and you know how we feel about those, even though we've started doing jokes.
But I also feel like slam poetry is a bit of an easy target. Like, of course it's fucking stupid.
And that makes it okay.
No, it makes it easy to point it out.
So it's low-hanging fruit.
It's like mimes are low-hanging fruit. Of course they're stupid, and so is jokes about mimes. Jokes about mimes are only one step above mimes. Yes, mimes are still below that. But like, you know that thing we do where we make a fucking brilliant point? We give like an observation, or we lay down some knowledge or a cold hard truth, and we get to say commentary.
That very rarely happens, although spoiler alert, it might happen later.
You can't really do that when you've just made fun of a mime.
Commentary.
Like, of what? Aren't mimes fucking pointless? Yeah, you're kind of like stepping on an anthill there. There's no big win. Same with slam poetry. It's like, of course it's funny. Anyway, we went down that hole and I'm gonna dig us out of it.
Are you gonna do a slam poem to get us out of it?
I feel like half of what I say is a slam poem because I sort of miss out proper grammar and like conjoining words and things. So it sort of comes across in that way a lot of the time. Editing this, you really pick up on the grammatical faults. Like, I understand, like, if you transcribe a real conversation, it's nearly indecipherable. But when you're sort of doing podcast, like you're broadcasting, like you're putting on a show of some kind, you really have to overcome this stuff. We really don't.
No. So could we perhaps make some kind of extra content out of like re-releasing all the podcasts, but putting a jazz beat underneath and then saying that these are very elaborate two-person slam poems?
Annoyingly, I think that would be more popular than what we're doing right now, so I'm kind of embittered by that idea.
I'd say it probably would be. We are unpopular.
Phil, I hate what we're doing right now because this is too good.
We had comments about slam poetry, about mimes. There was actual content to what we were saying.
I think we are approaching one of my greatest fears. Like, I think what is happening now, and I hoped never would, is that we are developing a rapport.
Should we perhaps cancel all future podcast recordings and then just never talk to each other? Occasionally, I'll just get a message from you going, podcast recording right now, and then we have to do a podcast recording and it's a shambles. It's just an absolute mess of audio.
Like the good old days.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with that, but also go with 3 weeks of shock therapy each.
Oh.
Anyway, recriminations and sentiments were still on that fucking beast. So,
do yours quickly.
Right, I can't tell which side of the fence that these land on, so I'm just going to do them and we will discuss after the fact. So, why aren't you responding to my emails? I had to create a new account when you accidentally blocked me. Did I do something wrong? I killed him for you. Was that not enough? I can get more blood if I have to. I now have a blood guy, so it'll be less messy than last time.
Was that for my benefit that he got a blood guy? I feel like there was something in a previous podcast about me drinking blood.
There was a lot of discussion of you drinking large quantities of blood from a dying boy. I feel like this person is clearly a diehard fan and we respect them for it, but I think the message I want to convey to them is maybe try harder next time.
I also think too keen.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, play a little bit hard to get. Don't kind of give us everything that we want because we just don't respect you.
You know, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. A lack of mutual respect. That's what we don't have in this relationship.
So can I suggest something? I mean, obviously block him again, but I'd suggest just to kind of try and move towards a more respectful place. If we print that email off, I assume it was an email.
It was an email that was typed out in Notepad and then printed out.
Oh.
And then dictated and sent via tape.
Well, we should get the tape, create some form of transcript of the tape, then hand deliver it to this person's house, but at the last minute switch out the letter that we've put together for some form of petrol bomb that we just shove through the letterbox and then run. Arson equals respect. I'm going to get that on a t-shirt, I think. Hang on, I'm just going to write that down. Arson equals respect.
I'm having this problem right now where I keep batting at the microphone that's in front of me because it's now suspect.
Like a cat.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, oh, this will be fun. And then realize, oh, wait, I need that to like not move. I do have a shock mount, but I didn't properly get it installed. So yeah, I should probably stop doing that, especially whilst I'm speaking.
Yeah, probably not the best idea to just bat away at your technology like you are a feline with ADHD.
Moving on to the next, recriminations and sentiments, or recrimination and sentiment as it should be. Right. Tell Phil to let it go, can't hold it back anymore, let it go, turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say, let the storm rage on, the cold never bothered me anyway.
I feel like that was a reference to some sort of animated film.
Mulan, right?
I think it was Mulan. Eddie Murphy sang that, right? As the dragon.
Yeah, so I think that Mulan is trying to talk to you here.
Interesting fact, the woman who voices Mulan follows me on Twitter.
That is trivial enough for me to suspect that it's real.
Yeah, she also plays Agent Melinda May on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Holy shit, she was Chun-Li in the Street Fighter film. I actually kind of like her.
Yeah.
But not as Chun-Li in the Street Fighter film.
I suspect that she follows back literally everybody who follows her, so I don't feel that special, but I use it as a fun fact sometimes that Mulan follows me on Twitter.
I did not know that she was Mulan. How did I not know that?
Yeah.
What else don't I know about her? I'm going to find out later in my spare time.
Yeah, you should, but we shouldn't record that because it wouldn't be interesting.
Anyway, I'm going to block Mulan.
You're going to block Mulan?
Block Mulan from the podcast. And the last one is just quality irrelevant, shouldn't be. And I feel like they're right, it shouldn't.
No, this is against all laws of man and nature.
And quantum theory.
Probably that also.
This is kind of a bit of an anticlimax to the recriminations and sentiments section. I may re-edit this and well, I can't now because I just said that, but like reorder things so we can end
on all that hilarious Mulan material.
Yeah, that was solid gold. I don't know why I watched Street Fighter.
No, I don't either.
I think it's because I wanted to watch that classic, for me, it was Tuesday speech.
I don't. Oh yeah, that Bison, M. Bison. I find it weird that the dad from the Addams Family played M. Bison,
and that was like his last film, right?
Yeah, he was like
Ralph Giulio, I think.
Raul Julia.
No, I think it's Ralph Giulio.
Throughout the production of that film, he was steadily dying of very aggressive cancer.
Yeah.
So I think that makes that movie more impressive, and I think it should have maybe won some Oscars.
He gives a very impressive performance for like a shit film, because that's got Jean-Claude Van Damme in, and he's not a great actor, and especially opposite M. Bison, who's like screaming and there's lightning and he's levitating all over the fucking place and screaming out Tuesday. I mean, that's a performance.
Holy fuck, Simon Callow was in that movie.
Really? What as?
The Deputy Secretary of the AN.
Yeah, and and he doesn't he just get like humiliated?
I don't really remember. But
Jean-Claude Van Damme is like, well, I'm gonna go and do what I want. That's more, what's his face? Highlander with the forehead.
Christopher Lambert.
I will do what I want, because I'm Scottish.
I think you're mixing up your terrible movies based on fighting games, because Christopher Lambert played Raiden in Mortal Kombat.
Holy shit, he did as well. Fucking hell.
He played a Chinese man.
Yeah, isn't that like really offensive? Like you have all these like Tibetan monks or whatever bowing down, praising the thunder god or something they worship their entire life, and it turns out to be Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
Like, surely that's a bit of a fuck you.
Clearly, this guy is very, very French.
Yeah.
Well, we've done it again. We've gone into like weird reveries about terrible films.
This is weird. Okay, moving on. We're going to do a new section now. I just battered my microphone, but I really should have installed that shock mount. Anyway.
I'm not sure that helps when you're actually physically striking the microphone. You'll just go, oh, the shock mount would stop this, but you're like punching the actual like
fine.
tech part of the microphone and going, this is all fine. If I had my shock mount, it would be fine. This would sound perfect.
Oh god, this fucking podcast. I am gonna dive in here a little bit early. I know you've got a film thing coming up and we're all looking forward to that, but I'm gonna dive in a little bit before then with the topic of the week.
Are we still doing those?
Well, we're doing them a little bit. Do you know what the topic of the week is?
Is it... this is just a guess. Just off the top of my head. Is it Scum?
It is Scum.
Oh my god, I'm a genius.
Yeah, I don't trust that. You may have been peeking
fuck
at
you.
the secret topic list, but
You
still.
fucking prick.
And
Sorry.
And do you know why I came up with this idea? Do you know why I called this week Scum?
Have you seen A Bad Person? Did you watch The Kardashians?
I was gonna do this. I tried to think of people that I detest and was like, oh, who can have a real go at this week? But I couldn't really come up with anything. And do you know why?
Because you forgot that Jennifer Love Hewitt exists.
We'll table that for now, but I'll get back to her and all. But
What about Domhnall Gleeson?
oh no, that's week 41.
Oh, sorry. Jumping the gun.
But I came to the conclusion, I think I am just not that hateful a person.
Okay.
And by that, I think I mean I'm an incredibly hateful person. I've just kind of realised that obsessing over minor slights kind of makes you a real dick.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's never stopped you in the past.
And it won't stop me in the future. But when you get the comedian coming out on stage and being all like, whoa, this group of people or that group of people or people who say this, don't they just suck? And we look at that and go like, he's telling it how it is. You know, he's seeing through everything. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about offending. He just says what he thinks. And I assume it's a man. I just want to be him, but not him because he seems kind of angry and like a little bit unhappy in a variety of ways. But wouldn't it be cool just to say the things that he says? But really, if you're just complaining about someone who didn't quite get out of your way as quickly as you would like, that doesn't really make you cynical or misanthropic or disillusioned or any other words that sound cool. It just kind of makes you a big penis.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is I was gonna make fun of the people that we all detest, like, these people, don't they suck? Or like, don't you hate it when?
Yeah, the fucking Amish.
But and we'll get to them as well. But actually, it's people who do that who are the worst. So I'm doing that to them. I'm paying it back or paying it forward.
So you're going on some kind of tirade about the people who go on tirades about other people.
The Bill Burrs amongst us, you know?
We all know one. The ginger comedian who is angry and appears on Breaking Bad like 4 times.
But you get what I mean, right? Like, you know, we have these figures in the entertainment realm. You know, think of the Gregory House on television's The House, MD.
The sort of acerbic, cynical,
jaundice,
maverick characters and people,
yes,
who in the shows like The House MD, people sort of gravitate towards him, but I feel like in the real world he would get murdered very quickly. The show wouldn't even take place. He would be murdered a long time before that.
Yeah, it would be like one of them, Cuddy maybe, or Wilson grabs a biro, plunges it through the eye socket into the brain, and everyone just says they didn't see anything. Like everyone in the entire hospital, they know, but they're all like, What?
Yeah, probably the first time that he's working with Wilson, say, like as medical students or whatever, and he steals Wilson's identity and uses his credit cards to buy drugs and prostitutes, and then burns a house down.
And then, like, chloroforms Wilson and leaves him in a dumpster somewhere.
Yeah, like, probably at that stage, not friends anymore. It takes a long time over the overall narrative of that show for Wilson to go, hang on, I don't want to be friends with you. I don't think they would even get to the point where they are friends. That is why the house MD, the house doctor, is intrinsically flawed from my point of view.
Because Gregory the House, there's almost this kind of, what do you call it? You know, when you're sort of enamored with someone, you almost think that people will get together and sort of say, oh, the Gregory House, he really messed things up today, but, he's just so talented, and, I like his unshaven face, and, I'd like to have a go on that. You know, everyone sort of gets together and sort of has a bit of a chat about like how they really like him in secret, but then in person are like, oh, the Gregory the House, what are you up to, you mischievous little so-and-so? When in reality, when they're all at the bar when he's not around, they'd be like, God, what a dick! Jesus, he set fire to my car again.
I also feel like his job at the hospital wouldn't be anywhere near as secure as it seems to be. Like, the first time he just has no contact with a patient, and then 3:00 in the afternoon he kicks the door of the patient's room open, shouts, I am Gregory the House, and zaps them with the defibrillator, even though they're like just sitting up and eating jelly, but they are like coloured a bit yellow. He would just get fired immediately, surely. Like, no one else in that whole hospital could get away with, like, injecting morphine directly into someone's eyeball. It puts people on chemotherapy who don't need it a lot.
That's a crime.
That is essentially pumping horrible, poisonous chemicals into a person. That is just abuse. That is not medicine.
I get the argument of, well, he gets results. You know, he gets it done. He does the thing. He pulls the tick from the vagina or whatever he did to Dawn Summers in that one episode. What's her real name?
Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah, whatever happened to her? Did they find her body in the end?
Possibly, I don't know. It was distributed around many places.
Oh, well.
Maybe we've been looking at House from the wrong angle. Are you aware of the phenomenon of the Angel of Death?
As a phenomenon.
Where, like, a nurse sees people suffering and just surreptitiously gives them a morphine overdose to kill them, and they are a serial killer, but you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe fair enough. Maybe the Gregory the House MD is just a really bad angel of death. Like, he keeps coming in and, like, zapping someone's dick off with the defibrillator.
And they're like, oh, it works.
But it just so happens that there was, like, a rare African lizard living inside the dick and, like, controlling the person. And electrocuting the dick off was the only way to stop all that nonsense. But he was actually trying to kill the person.
I really want you to be a doctor and have your own practice, and on the front have a sign saying, you know, Phil MD, stopping all that nonsense.
I would also like my specialism, whatever they call it, to be electrocuting the dick off.
I just want to reiterate the main joke that I liked about that was that even in our fantasies, we still only go by a single first name. So your full doctor title would be Phil MD. Like, there'd be only one.
Phil MD. Yeah. There can be only one.
Because there is a Dr. Phil, right? That's like a real thing.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a proper doctor.
Yeah, well, you would beat that.
I would.
Yeah, because you have an even shorter title, and it's like Phil MD. How could you argue with that? Like, people would remember that. Like, you know, Dr. Ralph Thompson, blah, 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 MD. Like, whatever. Dime a dozen. But if you're just, like, on a poster, shirtless, with Mjolnir in one hand, and, like, lightning in the other, and it just said, Phil MD, stopping all that nonsense, people would flock to your surgery.
I don't know. You've never seen me with my shirt off. People would blow those signs up, I think.
Not just like paste over them.
No, they have to go. They are soiled now.
Yeah.
The billboards are sullied by this horrific image. We must blow them up.
I cannot remember my original point.
That sometimes people are horrible and other people think that they're good for being horrible, but when you think about it objectively, they are dicks.
I sympathise with this idea of the person who they stand up as an individual to criticise and to critique and to lay bare the truths that are kind of on show anyway and people already know, but they just lay it out, like in words we can understand. They just say what we're all thinking, not racist. Mostly, hopefully.
Some of them probably are.
I mean, you get one every now and then who... Basically, their role is some kinds of hate speech are okay, as long as it's directed against a sort of like a kind of a nebulous group of people. Like, don't do it by race, don't do it by gender, don't do it by physical attributes. But if you do it by behaviour, or like things that people say, well, I'm not being hateful, I'm just sort of critiquing a specific person or a specific idea of a person. You know, they're not... This isn't like by virtue of themselves, you know. No, this is like, oh, don't you hate it when you encounter the hipster or the artiste or Cleves. We even had Cleves on this show. You know, poor Cleves.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But I would say that the real scum here is not the Cleves amongst us. It is the people pointing at the Cleves amongst us, saying, let's stamp on his head.
Commentary.
Damn right.
So if I can just kind of get my head around part of what you're saying, the Dr. Gregory the House MD, PhD, I don't know what he's got, because he is hateful towards subjects of kind of global ridicule and derision. So the stupid, the unfit, perhaps. That is fine. We relate to him.
Yeah.
We are like, oh, this is an intriguing character who has magnetism, and we shall gravitate towards him as some form of leader. But if he said, you know, because he can refuse to treat like a person for being an idiot, he could go like, oh, that person stepped on a nail and it went into their anus somehow. That person is clearly an idiot. I refuse to treat them. That's fine. If he went, that person has a javelin through their leg, but they are a Chinese, so I'm not going to treat them. That is not okay, and we then dislike that character. We dislike that figure. He has turned his ire against a minority. Well, the Chinese aren't really a minority, are they? Because there's billions of them.
Yeah, there's hordes of them underfoot.
What?
That was fine to say. Okay, that's a little disclaimer there. That's fine.
So if Gregory House was a racist, then bad, but because he hates stupid and like hipsters and stuff, fine.
The point that I'm going to try and make before we wrap this up in a neat little bow, because this has been a good structured discussion right here, is that when you encounter the people on the pavement or sidewalk, if you're in the Americas, who don't move out of your way, so you are moving in single file, there's just the one of you, and you are trying to traverse down the street on the pavement, and then there's a group of like 16 people, and they're walking like 16 abreast across the pavement, and not one of them decides to sort of like duck in behind or in front where the road is. There is just death. I think, as you pointed out, one week there was just bin lorries just unending. You are forced to either quite aggressively shoulder one of them or leap out of their way, or just sort of let them pass by ducking into a doorway and just going, well, I never. Whilst it's tempting for us all to look at those people and go, look at them, aren't they the worst? Those feelings of hatred and like, that they're just the scum of the fucking earth are misguided. Because whilst you have been wronged, and whilst they are the worst and the scum, and Jesus fucking Christ, I cannot believe how fucking rude some of those fucking people are who don't get out of your fucking way. They can't even compute that in their mind, that they and their friends are taking up all of the fucking space, and it just takes one of them to relinquish their ground for you to get past, and everything's fine, and that burden is on them because they know the people who are taking up the rest of the space, and they can just work out them fucking selves. all those feelings are maybe not the healthiest and are actually just different forms of hatred towards certain groups, and that maybe feeling those things makes you a House or a Holmes or a Bill Burr type, and that pointing that out kind of makes you a cynical dicktard and not really cool and misanthropic and the outsider image that you think it kind of makes you about. Like, you're not a hurricane, you're just a diseased rat. You know?
Yeah, I enjoyed that because this is just a little secret extra thing for podcast viewers. If you listen very closely to Theo during that whole rant, you can hear just very slightly in the background that he has taken his trousers off and is strangling a small animal while just shouting about people who don't move out of your way on the pavement or sidewalk or walking strip, as they say in the Australias.
Is that so? Did they say walking strip?
Nope. Made it up.
Anyway, I'm saying all that as a disclaimer for why that chugger annoyed me and I followed her home and strangled her to death.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You can justify it, so...
Yeah, because everything I've said does not apply to chuggers.
Oh, no. Chuggers, it's fine to murder them as and when you want.
Right, anyway, we can end that there.
Yeah, I'd like you to cut all of that.
Okay, right, we're going to do your film pitch. I will hand the gauntlet over to you.
Okay, so this week's film pitch, I took some notes from you last week and included more sample dialogue because you seem to respond to that. I am nothing if not a panderer to focus groups. You would put my film in front of a test audience and literally any suggestion that they had, I would change every little bit of the film. That's how you make a good film, right? By listening to literally everybody who gives you ideas.
I'm imagining those things, you know, when people come out of the film and they say, oh, I didn't like this bit, oh, I didn't like that bit, or like this bit sucked, or why was there so much full frontal male nudity in this film?
Yeah, I didn't like that anal sex scene. So, this film, it's quite popular, but I'm trying to put maybe a new twist on it, because we are going, Theo, post-apocalyptic.
Have we ever been there before?
No, your dream journal had that weird city that was shaped like you, where all the denizens looked like you and just had sex with each other. That was a dystopian future if ever I've heard one. But this is post-apocalyptic, okay? So the movie is set 30 years after the occurrence.
Whoa. Have you got M. Night Shyamalan as a screenwriter here?
No. The occurrence is a thing that happened 30 years ago. We never mention it, but everything is a big desert. It's like Mad Max, but it's like...
Australia?
No, it's 100 times worse.
It's 100 times bigger than Australia.
No, the movie is 100 times worse than Mad Max.
Oh, in terms of quality.
Like, it's just a bad movie.
Okay. I did not care for Mad Max.
I feel like starting off with the low bar of quality in mind, I think we'll be fine, because as we're all aware, quality is irrelevant.
I just want to be clear, when I said I don't care for Mad Max, I mean the first film. Obviously, I love Fury Road. I don't want to ever put out the idea of not liking Fury Road because I'm scared of the response. Also, because I love that film.
Yeah, it's great. There are definitely no references to that movie in this film pitch, definitely. So, in the post-apocalypse, Patrick Fabian wanders the desert with sunglasses on, like, all the time. He's got sunglasses on literally all of the time. And he's got, like, a bunch of swords and shit on his back.
Wait, how many?
And a big back. Like, 40. He's a man made of swords.
Is he like anime in this?
There may be some anime influences, just in terms of a man who owns 40 swords. I also put that he probably has like some jerky made out of a horse or something, just to keep him going while he's wandering the desert. Maybe he just lives on horse jerky. We don't know. He's a mystery, an enigma, if you will.
Or chorizo.
What?
Chorizo.
Is that horse jerky?
Well, the way I make it is.
Oh, you've ruined many a paella.
We're good at our Hispanic pronunciations of things.
Yep. So I put, like, I think this is okay language to use in a film pitch. I put, he is crazy good at surviving. And I gave some examples of how good he is at surviving.
Do we get this in montage or like in just a text crawl?
Yeah, we'll have like a montage, maybe with like a text overlay, just so people really know. So he only sleeps for 30 seconds every 6 weeks.
Wow.
He probably has a bow and arrow, because those are like, they seem popular these days, like all the Hunger Games and the Tomb Raider
And The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
If you have something that can shoot an arrow, you're probably fine.
And he can also make drinkable water out of nothing but a dead dog and some tubes.
Wow.
Like, he's really resourceful. Like, he just finds a dead dog, he's like, boom, water.
I assume that's a line of dialogue right there, like,
Oh yeah, sorry, I'll do it in the proper voice. Boom, water.
there we go. Can he look at the camera whilst he says that?
Yeah, he looks at the camera for most of his dialogue in this film. I've also put, he kills people super good, but it's okay because post-apocalypse.
Yeah, it's all fine. They were near the thing you want.
Yeah, that person had a battery. That's fine that I stabbed him in the eye socket.
Yeah,
So he arrives in a barter town run by Mark Strong.
of course.
Mark Strong is looking for a mysterious book
Oh, for fuck's sake.
which might solve all of the problems, but spoiler alert, it won't, because it's the Bible. So I've just given away the twist of this movie. It's the Bible. It makes no fucking sense as to why everybody wants it.
Are there not lessons to be learned in such a book?
No. There are lessons, but they're bad lessons mostly.
Wouldn't you have thought the most popular book of all time would have more copies of it lying about the place?
Yeah, I bet there was a copy of Harry Potter somewhere. Maybe I'll change this so he's carrying Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince around with him.
Yeah.
Probably the worst book of the series. No, maybe Order of the Phoenix was the worst one.
That was pretty bad. It was too long.
It's also the biggest one.
Yeah,
so
heavy. He's got a hardback version.
yeah, we might do like a sequel or a spin-off or something where someone's just carrying around Order of the Phoenix. But in this film, it is the Bible.
Okay.
So Mark Strong gets his stepdaughter, who is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, to seduce Patrick Fabian, but he rebuffs her. We use really convincing dialogue, such as this. "Oh, Mr. Patrick Fabian, let me lick the inside of your ear and grind my sex parts on your disco stick." And then Patrick Fabian says, "No sex here, only walking and Bible having, you harlot. Now let's do some religion."
But he's really not concealing the fact of what he carries. Like, this isn't like a secret. Like, if it's known that this could be valuable, like, he's really laying it all out
Yeah,
there.
well, I mean, to be honest, the whole kind of secretive nature of it is blown apart like immediately, because the next part is they do some religion and Mark Strong overhears it and realizes that Patrick Fabian had the Bible all along, and then he orders approximately 1 million acolytes and master blasters and war boys to hunt them down and kill them, which wouldn't normally be okay for a mayor to do, but it's all right because post-apocalypse. And I've also put brackets, we're going to be leaning on that excuse pretty hard, FYI.
What did those guys do in their spare time? Because I can't imagine that a wanderer comes into town like every day.
No, I think they just terrorize people and perhaps engage in orgies.
How is this economically viable? Because if you think about it, in a post-apocalypse, the shortest commodity is usable people.
This is too cerebral for this fucking movie. We need to move on.
Okay.
So Patrick Fabian and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, they go on the run.
Is it Louis or Louise Dreyfus?
It's Louis. Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
So is it really that?
Yeah. Trust, bitch. So this is like the bulk of the movie, but I've literally just explained it in one sentence. They go on the run and there are some murderers and rapists and cannibals, which would normally be very much frowned upon, but it's okay because post-apocalypse.
Is it okay though? Like, isn't there like one man who doesn't eat babies?
Well, it's Patrick Fabian and he has the Bible.
So it's like Julia Louis-Dreyfus just like tucking into a baby and he's like, no, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, they go and like house sit for some cannibals maybe, and they're like looking in the fridge and she's like, oh fuck, all they've got is baby. She like starts chowing down on the baby and Patrick Fabian's like, no, what are you doing? That's not in the Bible.
Can he like hit her with the Bible, which is like really heavy and got those like metal corners.
Yeah.
Like when a big tome has like metal bits to protect it.
Yeah, it's got all that.
Okay, so he catches her with a corner, really cuts her up good.
But it's fine because post-apocalypse. So somehow they overcome all of these obstacles with the murderers and the rapists and the cannibals, and they have a showdown with Mark Strong and his main henchmen, who are James Spader wearing a bowler hat.
Wait.
I put in brackets actual character name.
Okay.
And Neil McDonough with a gnarly facial scar. That's also the actual character name, because I feel like they're quite henchman-like, but they're kind of charismatic henchmen.
Do they get like acronyms?
No. So I've got some more dialogue.
I am very interested.
Okay, so Mark Strong says, "Give me the fucking book, you oily wank, or I'll do a kill of your bird, even though she's my stepdaughter, but that's alright, because post-apocalypse." And then Patrick Fabian says, "It may be the post-apocalypse, but I'll still fuck you up." Because swearing, fine. That's fine in the Bible.
It's all fine.
And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus says, "It's okay, Mr. Patrick Fabian. Just give him the book and we can get back to you turning down my sexual advances like some sort of gay." Then Patrick Fabian...
That's...
What?
Well, maybe a little... It will go down very well in the Christian right in the US, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going for.
Oh, shit.
So then Patrick Fabian says, "I'd much rather this goddamn woman dies horribly because post-apocalypse than give up my copy of the Bible because it's the Bible, spoiler alert." And then Mark Strong says, "Fuck all of this, I'ma shoot you." Mark Strong then shoots Patrick Fabian instead, because I don't know why he wasn't threatening to do that in the first place. And Neil McDonough with a gnarly facial scar takes the book off him and maybe does a quick bit of teabagging just to rub it in.
That will go down well with the Xboxed generation.
Yeah. And so you might think that this is like the end of the movie, but there's almost as much again
Really?
as there has been already, just to give you a pre-warning. So Julia Louis-Dreyfus puts Patrick Fabian on the back of a bike and cycles his rapidly bleeding out body all the way from deepest Texas to San Francisco and across the Golden Gate Bridge, because we need that sweet, sweet San Fran tourism dollar.
Damn right.
Because I just wanted to fold some budgetary stuff into the film pitch as well. I think that's important.
Well, how else are they going to know?
They won't. That is exactly the point. So then John Delancey greets them into Alcatraz Island, and even though Patrick Fabian has lost the Bible and most of his blood, he manages to recite the whole Bible off by heart. He probably gets a lot of it wrong and makes it mostly about throwing rocks at gays and beating magicians with a massive stick, and in brackets I've just put commentary.
Well, it's a message we can all get behind.
Yeah, beat them magicians with a big stick.
I'm just looking at a lot of pictures of Neil McDonough.
Yeah, I find him a fascinating individual.
He's like a really chronically upset Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Who has like the complexion of an angel.
Yeah, he's like Matt Damon in The Informant, but in real life.
In real.
So, back in the Barter Town.
Is it called Barter Town?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. So back in the Barter Town, Mark Strong discovers that the Bible he took off Patrick Fabian is actually in Braille, because Patrick Fabian was blind the whole time in a totally nonsensical twist. Because you like see him directly looking at things the whole movie.
Yeah, and like walking and acting like a person who can see.
Yeah, and there's like loads of bits where he just goes, "I can definitely see," just to kind of throw you off the scent of that twist.
And like gives like visual information that you can only get if you could actually see, like describing intricately the symbols and emblems that are used by the various factions around town and stuff, you know, explaining all the heraldry that's used on the flag and such.
Yeah, he's giving all of that information, so like you can't see the twist coming because it makes literally no sense.
Well, it's the best kind of twist. Like, whoa, that doesn't work.
Yeah, where you go, oh my god, that's a... Hang on, no, literally everything in this movie points to that not being the case. So there's just a little bit more. Neil McDonough tells Mark Strong that all his men have rebelled and become those gross mutated people out of Fury Road, and that Mark Strong has gout and is probably going to die in a minute. Because all he does, apart from like coming out and swearing and shooting people, he just drinks red wine and eats almost raw steak.
Can we get like a bit where he shouts at his henchman saying, "The book! Get the book!"
Well, it wouldn't be like that, would it, Theo? It would be like, "Get the book, you cunt!" Was that the first use of the C-bomb on this podcast?
It may be. I don't know. We've said a lot of fucked up shit. I mean, it's really difficult to remember, who you've threatened and what slurs have been used.
So the only other thing I put in, the plot summary basically is roll credits, maybe do a sequel with all the money we're definitely going to make from this brilliant movie. Because again, budgetary things, you just want to stick those in just for the suits down at the studio. Yeah,
they need to see those things on the paper, or else how are they to know what's a good investment and what is not?
So, in terms of the title of this movie, I was going to go for something slightly oblique, sort of something like maybe The Book of Eli.
I don't know what that means, because I thought he had the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that's not really testing well with you.
Yeah.
So,
who the fuck is Eli?
I don't know. I went for something punchier.
Okay.
So the title of this movie is Mad Patrick Fabian and the Revenge of Mayor Mark Strong, Dawn of Justice.
Can it be Dawn v Justice?
No, we went through this last week.
Yeah, but I thought maybe this film could,
I'll put hyphen or Dawn v Justice. So, would you go and see Mad Patrick Fabian and the Revenge of Mayor Mark Strong, Dawn of Justice, hyphen or Dawn v Justice?
I have one question.
Can I count on your admission ticket dollars? Can I count on you to be there during the opening weekend?
Well, I've probably got something on that weekend, so maybe not. When is it?
Probably next weekend.
Yeah, I've got something on that weekend.
I reckon we can knock it together by then.
Yeah. Anyway, I have one problem. How is he supposed to use an iPod if he's blind?
iPod Touch, that's a thing.
Of course. Okay, yeah.
That has Braille on it, right?
Yeah, those Braille iPods. That's not an okay joke.
Well, we'll keep making the joke until Apple makes an iPod that is suitable for a blind.
What's the punchline there? Is it that was a stupid plot device in the Book of Eli, the real one? Or...
I don't know what you're talking about. This is completely, I came up with all of this completely original, Phil original, TM.
Or is it that, wouldn't it be funny that blind people need Braille? Because if that's the punchline, one, it just isn't funny, and two, it's kind of just
disagree.
important.
I found it very funny when you just said it.
I think it's funny when I say it, but that's because I feel like, again, I am the punchline because I interpreted these words in that way, so I'm the dick, so that's okay for that to be the punchline.
Yeah, you are the scum.
Yeah, I am the scum of the joke, but... yeah, if it is just, Braille doesn't work on a touch screen, that's
well, you have just pointed out a flaw in technology for differently abled people.
Maybe there's a market there, except we can't possibly get into that market because all of our marketing ideas are deliberately fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And anything like that associated with our podcast would be offensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, who plays the stepdaughter again?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
How does she become blind?
She's not blind.
Oh, but she becomes the next Eli.
Yeah. Maybe John Delancey at the end.
Does he have... how stupid is his hair in this?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's like Donald Trump's hair, but backwards.
Oh, but upside down, and on the sides as well as the top. So just imagine the top of Donald Trump's hair, but that's stuck on all four sides of the head, including the face.
The eyebrows as well.
Yeah.
And fuck. But yeah, because he knows that she must become the new Patrick Fabian, he literally gouges her eyes out with a screwdriver.
Wow, is she fine with that?
Yeah, she understands as well. But then she's like, fuck, I didn't learn Braille because I only had an iPod.
Yeah.
And then it just, the last 20 minutes of the movie just turned into Hostel. People pay money to gouge out Julia Louis-Dreyfus's eyes with the screwdriver.
That's a dark end.
It's a very dark end.
Yeah. Why does it matter that he was blind the entire time?
I think it's literally just a fuck you to Gary Oldman, where it's just like, oh, haha, Gary Oldman, you can't actually read the Bible, prick.
I thought it was Mark Strong.
Oh, Yeah, he plays a character called Gary Oldman. I didn't say that.
Oh, Mark Strong playing Gary Oldman. Yeah, of course.
That is his full name. Mayor Mark Strong playing Gary Oldman. Hello. Fucking hell.
Can we get Tom Waits in there somewhere?
He is the narrator.
Oh,
he's like
hell.
Sam Elliott in The Big Lebowski.
I mean, I suppose if you want your narrator to basically sound like Heath Ledger's Joker, then I suppose, that will all be fine.
Yep.
I just realised that our version of Patrick Fabian does have a little bit of the Joker in him.
Yeah, but like a really bad Joker impression.
Yeah.
Like after that movie came out, when everybody just did the "wanna see a magic trick" line, and it just got really tiresome.
Yeah, all the did I ever tell you how I got these scars?
And everyone was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like it's Halloween.
17 people at this party are dressed as the fucking Joker.
Yeah, there's so much green hairspray going around. He didn't even have that much in the film,
No.
and yet there's just,
Everyone's bad at this.
I think, ultimately, this film you've pitched is pointless.
Well, fuck you. Fuck this podcast. Fuck everything. You and me are done professionally. All of the other things that Christian Bale says in that audio recording. I quit the set of Terminator Salvation right here, right now.
Are you going to smash my lights?
Yeah.
This is now referencing a meme.
Yeah. My favourite bit of that meme is when he goes, la da 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 da.
That reminds me of Voldemort in the final Harry Potter film, where he just goes, no! It's like, Harry Potter is dead. No! Anyway, getting back to the important stuff, like the Book of Eli 2, or whatever this is called. When I said the whole thing was pointless, that's not a slur or a slight against the idea. It's almost like, well, I can't think of a single way that that's relevant to the conceit that's being put forward in the film. And in actuality, I'm more into this film for the visuals, because I can't really find a single thing of artistic worth in this.
Oh no, well, I was specifically aiming to make something with no artistic worth.
Then it's a success.
You say that you're looking at the visuals. The visuals are going to be garbage. I should point that out.
Oh.
I'm going to film all of this on GoPro.
Like GoPro session, or like...
But like a really old GoPro, not even HD.
Ugh. So it's going to be like the first generation GoPro.
Yeah. You know, like, is it the first Hobbit film where they all go in the barrels?
Yeah, and then there's this GoPro shot that is really out of place.
Really bad. Like, they were spending ages going, oh, this is the most high-def movie ever. Go and watch it in 60 frames per second and all of that shit. And then they just go, oh, and this bit is filmed with a GoPro. That is fine.
So that happened. I didn't dream that.
No.
Those films, man. I mean, like, they're the scum of the earth. I mean, like, what? Fuck. I know what happened now. I am recently been told that the whole sort of thing was that Peter Jackson, you know, the reason why the first trilogy took so long, because he, like, proper planned it and that. And, like, the recent one, it turns out, even if you're skilled in a certain area, you can't just knock it out over a weekend, or the film equivalent of a weekend, which is pretty much what he did. Just like, we did this once before. I've only been brought on at the last minute. Fuck it. We'll just do it. We'll just wing it like this podcast, and it'll all be fine. Turns out, you really fucking can't, especially when you put GoPro shots in it.
Yeah, you know, this should have been
planned.
Well, it was supposed to be done by Guillermo del Toro. Probably would have been really amazing. But no, we'll just get the old guy back in. No notice. He'll just make it up. And also, he has to turn a very slender volume into 3 fucking 2.5 hour long movies.
Yeah, we'll just like drag Peter Jackson out of bed, selling his dressing gown, kick him onto a set with Ian McKellen saying like, I don't know why I'm here, there are no other actors. And Peter Jackson, you got to deal with that. You've not even had your coffee yet. Time is money.
You're not allowed coffee until you've made the first movie.
yeah, before breakfast. And then rather than just backing out of the whole thing, he went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
He went ahead and did it.
And that is why those films are garbage and half shot with a GoPro.
Poor Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah, that was bad.
She's gonna to be in a good film one day. Oh, what? Ant-Man!
Yeah, she was in Ant-Man.
She was in Ant-Man. That's her first role.
This is... what the fuck is this anymore?
No, we did it.
We did what?
This is the optimum time to stop. Beforehand, what would happen is I'd normally introduce an idea at this point.
Don't, please, for the love of Christ, don't do that.
Yeah, I did actually have an idea, but I'm not going to do it.
No.
Because it's like half-baked and shit.
Yeah.
So if it's all the same to you, I'm going to hit my ad read, unless there's anything you wanted to bring out as like the last chicken in the shop kind of...
No, I think we should just slam into the ad read and then take her home.
Okay, so... Oh, wait, I adopt a certain voice when I do this. I have to kind of get that in my head.
Yeah, very like monotone and just...
Right. This episode of Quality Irrelevant is brought to you by MailChimp. More than 7 million businesses around the world use a MailChimp to design and send 600 million emails every day. MailChimp is a service that allows users to send bulk emails to clients, customers, and other interested parties by offloading the work to their robust automated marketing system. If you can't trust a large aggressive primate to manage your company's email, who or what can you trust? Here at Quality Irrelevant, as our fans will know, we have struggled to grow our listenership as we have not yet advertised our brand to a targeted and interested audience. Now, MailChimp handles all of this and more. Once our MailChimp was shipped to us from the jungles of sub-Saharan Africa, we immediately set him up with a workstation and he got to organizing and streamlining our email marketing campaign. We definitely won't be questioning the virility of this great ape. Not since he attempted to impregnate the office photocopier, that's for sure. Go to MailChimp.com and sign up for free using offer code I wonder how long we can get away with this. Thanks to MailChimp for supporting the show. MailChimp. Send better email. Oh wait, that advert was meant to be for macho bonobos bashing away at keyboard getYouMoneyDefos.com.
I mean, I haven't been able to use the photocopier in weeks.
Yeah, it's very impregnated.
Yeah, with a sort of a weird half photocopier, half monkey baby.
There's a lot of amniotic fluid leaking out the side.
Yeah, and I feel like when the thing actually pops out, its first words will be, "Kill me!"
Do we call a doctor or a technician?
I think a grave digger.